These are the top 10 rarest cars in Forza Horizon 5, how to get them and what kind of value these cars typically go for. Now I'll be covering a lot of these cars that have been not added to the game in months if not years via Horizon Festival playlists, meaning they're extremely difficult to get. Only a very small handful of people could brag that they even have these cars, and even if you want to sub them in the auction house, it's going to be very difficult. So let's go on ahead to the festival and get started with the first car on this list. So the first car I'll be showing, and every single car on this list, as you guys can see, will of course appear in the car collection, but given I have every single one of them, we'll be referring to my garage for this. So the first one is going to be the McLaren 12C Coupe. This is an example of a car that is very difficult to get. You guys can see there are quite a few different McLarens in the game, but this one is probably the most OG and rarest of them all. An older McLaren, one that's been in the game for quite a little while, but since then it hasn't been re-added to the Horizon Festival playlist. We haven't seen it as a backstage pass car, and it's very difficult to even see them in the auction house. If you go and take a search here, you guys will see there are no auction results, even with no filters, and that's quite a regular occurrence for this car. But next up on the list is of course going to be the Ford 1946 Super Deluxe Station Wagon. Now again, a lot of Fords in the game, many of them not too rare, but this one would definitely top the list out of pretty much all of them. Here it is, guys, quite an unsuspecting car. I mean, the average player who sees one of these in their garage would probably think it's some random trash car they got from a wheel spin a while ago and wouldn't put too much premise on it. However, little would they know it's one of the rarest cars. A lot of people would pay millions and millions of credits just to get their hands on it, not even to try resell it or snipe it, but simply just for their collection. You guys can go in and check my license plate to see I got all these cars, and of course the 1 billion super wheel spins, etc. Now the next car on the list that would definitely make it as some of the rarest cars, and most definitely the rarest Ferrari in the game, will of course be the Ferrari 2014 California T. Again, there are quite a lot of rare Ferraris because often these are some of the cars we see more as being prize or reward cars, opposed to many others which have a higher dominance of their manufacturer cars just available through the auto show or DLCs. And the Ferrari T, again, quite an unsuspecting Ferrari. It's in my opinion not one of the greatest Ferraris in their lineup, or definitely in Forza, yet it's still very rare irrespective of that, and again has nothing really to do with the car itself, mostly just due to how little appearances we've seen it in terms of Horizon updates, the Forza on shop, and again recently implemented the backstage pass. It's yet to make an appearance. Now next up car is of course going to be another Ferrari. This one is slightly less rare comparatively, however it's still ultra difficult to get. And then of course it's going to be the Ferrari F8 Tributo 2019. But this car is mostly rare based off the fact that not only has it been added to the game not too many times, more than so many other cars on this list, but when it does come in the game, not too many people are selling these. This is the kind of car that pretty much everyone wants to have at least one of these in their collection, so it's not a car that you would see people getting from a weekly Horizon Festival event and then listing it straight up on the auction house. It's going to be one that people keep, and therefore there are less of these in circulation. None even going for 20 million at all on the auction house. But the next car I'll be covering is of course going to be the Alfa Romeo 2000C 8C Competizione, or competition if you translate it. So of course Alfa Romeo were cars that people didn't think would there be too many of in Forza whatsoever, but we can see this one is definitely going to be top in the list in terms of its rareness, the 8C Competizione 2007. Now these Alfa Romeos, quite a few of them are very valuable. You'd see this one's 4 million, 15 million, but what sets these apart is that they're auto show cars. This one is a low tag at 300,000, but again, if you manage to get one of these, it'd be at least 10 million unless you guys got pretty lucky with an auction house snipe, which is a good kind of point of reference. Now one car that's definitely a sleeper rare car, just like the Ford 1946 Super Deluxe, is of course going to be the Morris Traveller. This is the kind of car that not too many people would really be able to flex in their collection. It's not so many people would even think is remotely rare, however it's still worth quite a lot. This is quite a unique car, guys, because they're actually both of them are very rare. Both the Traveller 1 and Series 2 are both cars you'll pretty much never see on the auction house whatsoever. Of course the Traveller, I believe with 1Ls, is the rare one, but you guys can comment down below if you want to go ahead and clarify that for me, because there's a bit of an ambiguity there based on the fact they're very similarly named and both of them are fairly rare, so sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. But guys, the next car on this list is going to be one that not too many people actually know is super rare, as it's not the most iconic Supra there is, but this one is still very difficult and unprecedented to get nonetheless. It is of course going to be the Toyota Supra 2.0 GT 1992, another car that you look at and think it's a bit of a sleeper car in terms of one that doesn't look like it's very rare, but it's still ultra rare and expensive and of course difficult to get. Comment down below if you guys have any of these cars below or other ones you think should be on this list while we're going ahead with the video, but like I said, Toyota Supra definitely up there on one of the rarest cars in the game. Next up is going to be the Sierra Cards 700. We can see this car has not been added to the game in quite a long time. It's been on the top of some of these rare cars lists for probably a couple years now, based on the fact that it hasn't reoccurred in the game, and since then it's only been getting rarer and rarer, as the more people that are getting their hands on these cars are not people who are average players who happen to have it from when it was first released. It's going to be collectors who've been buying out the stock progressively as they see it go live on the auction house. Now guys, the second last car I'll be covering throughout the course of this video is going to be a Mini Cooper. It's going to be the 1965 Forza edition. Now this car is quite difficult to get, which is quite unfortunate because it's actually a very good car for multiple money glitches. However, since not many people have their hands on it, they aren't able to take advantage of some of the opportunities or some of the glitches you can actually go ahead and make the most of this car for. It's an ultra unique car, way ahead of its time given the fact it's electric, and of course it's from 1965, so it's a bit of a meme in that regard. But if you want to look at the actual auction house, you'll see none. Very difficult to get, a pretty crazy car, and the last car we're getting on this list is going to be one that again has actually been added to the game quite a number of times. It is still so ultra rare based off the fact that it's one of the favorite or fan favorite cars in the whole game, the Event Store SVJ. Whenever you guys see these cars in the auction house, they're pretty much going instantaneously. This is a car that's been added to the game, I believe, 3 different times, and it's still pretty much topping these cars of being, or lists of being, one of the rarest cars in the game. It's not quite one of those subtle or low-key cars like the McLaren 12C Coupe. It's a lot more highly stated, it's a lot more highly desirable, but despite that, it's still ultra difficult to get. The one thing that sets this car above from others, though, is you can quite easily get it. It's simply going to have a huge cost barrier. At least that's better than some of the other cars on this list, but it's definitely still a notable car based on the fact that you'll probably never really see these aside from the auction house, and I'll go ahead and buy one for 20 million just to go ahead and show you guys. Very easy to get, however it will set you back quite a few credits, unlike some of the other cars on this list as mentioned, which 20 million wouldn't even be able to get you even if you guys had a chance. But that's going to wrap up this video. Comment down below other cars you think should be on this list, like and subscribe for more.